Good morning, everyone. Leah Dixon here from Port Coquitlam, British Columbia. And I am live this Wednesday morning, every Wednesday morning actually, until February 28th with Sale-a-bration samples. So if you are new to Stampin' Up, this is a fantastic time of year to grab some stamps and start creating, because this is our Sale-a-bration. So what that means here in Canada is for every $60 purchase, you actually earn free product out of our Sale-a-bration brochure. So I'm going to switch over to my desktop. I'm going to show you the stamps that I'm using today and give you a close-up look at the Flight and Airy Designer Series paper that I'm going to be using with today's cards, and that is one of our free Sale-a-bration items. Oh, good morning. It just says Facebook user, but thanks for joining. I see there's a few people popping on, so if you guys want to say hi in the comments, and if you haven't signed in to let StreamYard know who you are, just maybe put your name when you say hello so I know who's joining me. All right, so here is our Heartfelt Hexagon stamp set. This is new in our mini catalog, and it is one of my favorite bundles right now because it has all these great sentiments for all different occasions: birthday, sympathy, just saying hello, wedding, all sorts of things. But then it also has all these cute little images and these awesome borders for the hexagon punch that goes with it. So I love labels, but I especially love labels that you can kind of fancy up either by die cutting them so they have stitching, or in this case being able to stamp a border on them. So that's the stamp set that I'm using. This is the card that we're going to be creating today, and it looks pretty fancy. It looks all watercolored, but it's actually a very, very simple card to create because it's all designer series paper. So I'm going to bring in our Flight and Airy DSP here. When you make a $60 purchase, you can actually earn this paper for free. Let's turn it around. And it's 12 sheets of double-sided paper, so you get 2 of each of the 6 designs, and it's just gorgeous. So one side of it is these beautiful watercolored birds, and I love these ones because they're kind of like separated from each other, so they're easy to cut out and add onto a card as an accent. These ones are just gorgeous. I don't know, they're just, I really love the colors that have been used on these papers. These ones are just so fun and spring-like. This one has all that calypso coral in it, and it's just beautiful. And then finally, these little guys. I used one of these the other day on kind of more of a wintry card with the aspen tree dies. And they're just so beautiful, very well done watercolors, and very easy to cut out. Now, the other side of these papers are some florals and some watercolor patterns. So here we've got kind of a pinkish tone floral. Then we've got just a really nice fresh freesia kind of watercolor sponged background. Some more florals, but this time with a blue hue. And then the beautiful blue watercolor. So it's that ease of not having to actually create these watercolor backgrounds, just being able to grab some paper that's already done. And then some really nice neutral accents in there, just nice. And then the Lost Lagoon leaves. So the paper itself is really, really easy to pair up, cut up, do whatever you'd like to with it to create. So for today's card, I'm just going to show you. I took one of these papers with the fun little bird pieces, and I just did a rough cut to pull one of the birds out. And we're actually going to get started by fussy cutting it so that we can add it onto our card front. So let me just grab, there he is. So I rough cut him out of that designer series paper. It's just easier than to fussy cut with a smaller piece. And then I'm going to grab my snips and I'm just going to cut it out. And while I'm doing this, I'm just going to let you know that part of the reason why I chose the products that I chose for today's Sale-a-bration video is because my friend Greta Leonard and I actually have a stamp camp coming up February 4th, I want to say. And it is featuring the Heartfelt Hexagons. It's actually called our Heartfelt Hexagon Stamp Camp. But we have paired it up with this gorgeous designer series paper, and then some rainbow dots and the 3-color twine. So I've actually put the link into the description of this video if you want to check out all the details of that stamp camp. There's ways to join if you're in Canada, if you're in the US, and also if you are outside of North America. So lots and lots of ways that you can be a part of this stamp camp with us. And I just wanted to show off, this isn't one of the cards from our stamp camp, but just kind of a glimpse as to what can be done when we put those products together. You can't find me on YouTube. Oh, weird. Oh, good. I'm sure I had it set to go there. Thanks for joining, Kim. Yeah, so this is just a little glimpse as to what can be done. If you've never joined Greta and I for a stamp camp before, we used to have a third, Christy, who would stamp with us, but she's just taking a little bit of a break. She's had some traveling and fun stuff and dealing, just taking some time for family. So Greta and I are continuing on, just the two of us, and it's so much fun. We have very different styles of stamping, and Greta is the queen of 3D items, and she already has a 3D item planned for this upcoming stamp camp. And then, of course, we have all of the cards. So it actually will be an 8-card stamp camp. And yeah, it'll be a full afternoon of fun stamping. All right, so there we go. Perfect timing. Just finished telling you about our stamp camp as I finished all that die or fussy cutting. So it is a little bit of fussy cutting, but it's actually really not too difficult to do. All right, so with our beautiful focal piece cut out, I'm going to set that off to the side. I'm going to bring in the other pieces to our card. So I have 2 pieces of designer series paper. It kills me to not use the birds, but that's okay. Gotta love all the pieces. So I've grabbed a piece of those leaves on the Lost Lagoon and some of the Fresh Freesia watercolor. And it says 1.5 by 3.5 and 2 by 3.5. We're going to glue these down onto a piece of Lost Lagoon. Now, I like really tight borders, so my Lost Lagoon is 3 5/8 by 3 5/8. If that's a little tight for you, you could do 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. So those are going to get glued down using whatever adhesive you enjoy. I like using liquid glue. Oh, Kim, I know. I'm so glad you're joining us for the stamp camp, and the catalog launch is going to be so much fun. So if you haven't joined our catalog launch group, I should have put that link in. I'll add it into the comments later. You should definitely join mine and Greta's catalog launch group. It's not like a formal class or anything. We're going to come on. We're each going to do a couple demonstrations. We're going to show you a ton of samples. There's already fun happening in the group, people sharing their favorite new products, and we will be doing a prize draw for people who are commenting and joining in the conversation. And then on the day of, once we've done, before we've done our presentations, I guess, if you want, but once we've done all of our presentations, anybody who places an order that day will actually be sending out a PDF tutorial with all the instructions and measurements and everything of the projects that we demonstrate that day. So you don't need to have any product in advance. You'll just come back and watch the replays if you need to see the videos again, but you will get a printable PDF tutorial for the cards we demo. So that's kind of how that online launch works. So if you already have products, join us, stamp along, enjoy it. Otherwise, just come, watch, comment, and then you can get your product and join in on the stamping part at a later date. All right, so with these things glued down to that Lost Lagoon piece, I'm now going to grab some baker's twine, some white baker's twine. This actually comes, it's our essential baker's twine, and it comes in a pack, and you get black and gray granite, crumb cake, like a whole bunch of different neutrals. And so white is of course one of them. So I'm just kind of tying that around, and I'll snip that off. So once I've wrapped that around twice, I'm just going to go take one of these ends and tuck it under both pieces so that when I tie a knot here, it cinches both threads together. There we go. And then this can be moved around and put wherever I want it later. But right now I've just created that knot, and I'll make my little bunny ears here and tie a bow. Oh, I'm so glad that you enjoy the PDFs. We try to make it pretty clear in our instructions. And I don't know, I always like having measurements, even if I don't have the exact stamp set. I like having measurements and layouts to go off of. And fun folds, Greta is awesome at her fun folds as well. Yeah, it's just really nice to have that kind of inspiration, even if you're swapping out a different image or something. Okay, so I've got my little bow there, and now I can trim up the ends of this one because it's just a little bit longer than the other. There we go. And I'm going to wait to see where I want to position that. So I'm not going to glue this down onto anything yet. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp my hexagon. And so I have my hexagon here on a block, but I realized that this one's a little bit like flimsy, and you can really shape it in like lots of different ways and have it stick to your block. And that's not going to punch out really nicely. Obviously, you know, you would be able to tell if it was that off. But I went to stamp it the other day and it didn't fit inside my hexagon punch. And I thought, oh, well, that is weird. But because of that, it was great because it gives me a chance to show you a little trick. I keep this punched out frame now inside my Heartfelt Hexagon stamp case. I don't need to keep it with the punch. I can just keep it in the stamp case because I only need this if I'm using the stamps. And really only this one, because the other frame is quite a bit thicker and quite stable and keeps its shape, but this one doesn't. So what I do is I take this frame, and I'm going to have to stand up to do this, and I make sure that my little stamped dots are in the same position as the punch is going to be, because of course the punch isn't going to change shape. The punch is the shape that it is. So I can look at this and just kind of tweak it. And the glass mat is great for this because it kind of sticks to the glass mat, so it's going to hold its shape once I've put it in a position. So I can look at that and just kind of scooch it around until I like how it's sitting inside this frame. Okay, so with that done, and I like the position of it all now, I can take my block and pick it up. Now I can be confident that when I stamp this, it's going to be the right shape for my punch. So I'm going to grab my Lost Lagoon ink now. This is the smaller of the two, and because it's a whole bunch of little dots, You have to be quite careful not to press too hard. Otherwise, those dots can kind of get smushed out into little lines. So you want to be very, very gentle when you're stamping that one. So I've just stamped those dots. They're like actually quite faint, but it just adds just the tiniest little detailing to that. All right, now I can grab my punch and we can punch this out and we know it's going to fit. So I just come in here. And so on my frame, you'll notice I wrote the word frame. I wrote that so that just in case there are any imperfections in my punch, I would know that the side that says frame is the side that would be up when I was punching it out so that I could line it up properly. That's why I had that word written on there. Otherwise, it's not really necessary. All right, so I also used a piece bigger than I needed. I could have trimmed that off, but I do find it's nice to have the excess on the side, just so you have somewhere to hold on to. All right, so with that punched out, I'll put that punch back on my shelf, and we can start creating. So I'm going to take my image now that I cut out, and I'm not going to attach it yet. I'm just going to kind of position it a little bit like how I might want it. What I'm really working on is to get the corner here covered up by the bird. There we go. So I like that. And then I'm going to grab the For You sentiment. I like that one because then this can be for anything. On the inside, I could write like, congratulations on your wedding day. I could write happy birthday. I could write, you know, just because. It doesn't matter. And then I come in and stamp my For You. All right. So I did that without attaching my bird yet. You could have even kind of lined it up and then moved the bird out of the way. But I didn't. All right, now to attach this, I'm actually going to attach the bird with dimensionals. I'm just going to put one behind his head and one behind the greenery because everything else is going to kind of fall off the bottom of this label, and that's okay. All right, so then when I come back in, I just want to make sure that I'm kind of lining that up in the same way. There we go. All right, so that is our little focal piece all created for our card. Now I can decide if this is going to fit nicely or if I have to move my bow around. But that's actually perfect positioning. So my bow is just going to sit there in the corner where the flowers and the label meet up. And what I'm aiming for is that this branch comes out to the edge of my square that I created. Okay, so that's actually going to be perfect positioning. And what I'm going to do now is flip this over, and I am going to, okay, don't laugh at me, Janine. I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of this. I'm just going to use 3 or 4. But then over here, I'm going to grab some mini dimensionals. And because the bird is on dimensionals and this is on dimensionals, I'm going to actually double stack these. Actually, you know what? I don't have to double stack these because I realized the dimensionals I grabbed are from my paper pumpkin kit, so they're thicker. So here, I will grab regular ones, not paper pumpkin ones. Oh, maybe I don't have any not paper pumpkin ones. Oh, interesting. Oh, there we go. Okay, so these are paper pumpkin ones. For whatever reason, paper pumpkin dimensionals are thicker. So here, I'll show you over here. I'm going to grab one. I'm going to peel its backing off. And then I'm going to grab a second one to put on top of it. So that is how I'm going to do that for the greenery that's hanging off the sides. So yeah, if you've got those leftover dimensionals from my paper pumpkin kit, you don't have to double down. But if you have just regular mini dimensionals, you will have to double down to get those on there. So with all of that done, I can peel all these backings off now, my double stacks and my knots. And we're going to put this whole piece right onto that square. There we go. All right. So tuck that under. Oops. Don't let it stick until I'm sure. And you are trying to make your sides straight so that your sentiment is straight. There we go. Awesome. So we have like this beautiful piece now to put onto our card front. Now, I didn't want to just put this onto a plain card front. I also didn't want to use more designer series paper because, man, that would make this a busy, busy card. So what I have done instead is I grabbed the Layered Florals 3D embossing folder. This is a new one in our mini catalog. And I embossed a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 basic white cardstock. So it's just this beautiful, very bumpy 3D floral pattern. And I'm going to attach that directly, just glue it straight down onto a thick basic white card base to create our background. So I am going to use liquid glue to do that. Liquid glue is my go-to. Now, if you're not using liquid glue, because this is a 3D embossing folder, it really does need quite a bit of like something that's going to have a really good hold. So I would recommend using Tear and Tape or Seal Plus if you're not using liquid glue to attach this. Okay. There we go. And then I'm going to use liquid glue to attach this piece. I'm going to put it kind of off to the right-hand side, though. I'm not going to center it. With other patterns, I might have centered it, but with this one, I really wanted to be able to show off some of the floral on this floral embossing folder. So this gave me my best opportunity. So I just kind of created an equal border on the top, bottom, and right-hand side. And pop that on. Okay. Now we're almost finished, but of course we need to, oh, that's off the screen. Sorry, guys. We're almost done, but we need to add a little bit of bling to this. And at the end of the day, I hummed and hawed. I thought about using my very favorite purple shimmer gems, but I ended up settling on the Adhesive Back Sequins Trio. The folder was called Layered Florals 3D Embossing Folder. And so 162935 if you're looking for a number for ordering. It is a beautiful folder, and it's really hidden in our catalog. All right, so these are the Adhesive Trio sequins, and I just wanted to go really subtle, so I'm using the white ones, but I am using a lot of them, you guys. I think there's like 9 on this card front, like just a little bit insane. So I made like a little triangle up here, and basically I'm going to like triangle my way across my card front. And then I came in here and let's see, I did one there and one there. And so then I made another little triangle here on my white label. And then I came down here and I made another little triangle. And so we really like over the top blinged this one up. But I just felt like it needed that real scattering of sequins. And when they're clear like this, you know, they're not in your face and offensive. So that is the bling I wanted on there to just really make it sparkle. So that is our finished card. Oh, I know I am almost running out of clear ones. Yeah, I'm gonna have to switch it up and start using those other colors. So yeah, that is our finished card for today, and just a little sample of what you can do with that awesome heartfelt hexagon and this Flight and Airy Designer Series paper. So if you loved this one, I hope you check out all the details of mine and Greta's upcoming stamp camp. We'd love to have you join us. Registration deadline is January 17th so that we can get you all of your supplies on time and have all the card bases and everything cut up for you. But we would absolutely love to have you join us. So I think that is about it for today. I will be back again next week with another Sale-a-bration sample. And if I can sneak it in this weekend, I'm hoping I can, I'll be back on also to share with you 2 of our new kits. Stampin' Up! Is changing how they run their kit program, and they're actually releasing 2 new kits every month. And so we have some adorable rock and roll and panda kits available this month. So I couldn't resist. I grabbed them both. So I'm hoping that I will have them here to be able to share with you. So have a wonderful Wednesday. Check out the link for that. And don't forget that any purchase that you make, $60 Canadian before shipping and taxes, earns you free Sale-a-bration items. So it is a great time to do some shopping. Bye, everyone.